enjoy the film.
You want butter on your popcorn?
The theater will be ready in a second. I got into that email.
Yes, you did, and thank you very much. Your apples are on the way.
They're in the mail.
I'm glad. It mentioned some things I don't really understand, so maybe you can help me understand.
Of course.
It was asking you for apples, number one. So I can only assume this is a regular thing.
Are you just paying people in apples these days?
He also mentioned something about you owing him a lot of money. He said that you are in debt to him, and that he was going to, quote unquote, collect his debts.
I thought you said this guy was from corporate. This guy sounds like a loan shark.
No, I'm sorry. He lives in unincorporated Timberdale. I call it corporate.
You call unincorporated Timberdale corporate.
Yeah, it's a catchy name. It's cool.
Doesn't make any sense.
Hey, I'm Mark from corporate.
That's
Mark
Neat.
lives in unincorporated Timberdale.
That's not
We should, say it to me now. Okay, Derek from corporate. Say that.
Derek from corporate.
That sounds awesome.
But it's inaccurate.
He lives in unincorporated Timberdale.
I was
knew what he
confused
meant.
because I thought
You know,
that,
corporate is a word, right?
yeah,
Meaning what?
I assumed that this theater was a singular theater,
Yes.
but you made it sound like it was part of like a franchise or something.
Oh, no. I'm terribly sorry. That's my fault. No. Derek from corporate, he's just been helping out.
What is the nature of your relationship with Derek?
Yeah, why do you owe him so much money?
He is a business partner
And why do you owe him so much money?
because I'm not good at business.
So, what does he own shares of the company? Is he part in this? Is this?
Yes,
How much of the company do you own? How much of the theater?
I have 3 shares.
Gotcha.
So how many shares? How many
How
shares
many
are
shares
there?
total?
There are 3 shares. I just said that.
So
There
you
are
own-
3 shares.
Okay, so you own the theater.
No. How are you not getting this?
Explain it.
There are 3 shares. I own one of the 3 shares.
Oh,
I thought you said you owe 3 shares.
No, I have 3 shares. I own one of them.
So you share the company with 3 people.
there are 3 sharers.
Yes, there are 3 sharers. I am one of the sharers.
There are 3 people who share.
3 people. Okay, here's the thing. There are 3 people, and each of the 3 owns 1 share.
Gotcha.
So it's
There we go.
you,
Derek.
Derek,
Derek owns one of them.
and who's the third?
Steve.
Steve, former
Steve,
manager.
the
Steve.
former manager who's currently in
Manager
prison.
Steve.
So he is in prison and currently owns more of this company than the people who work here.
Yeah.
He owns a third of the theater.
He owns a third of the theater.
How
Yes.
did he get that third of the theater?
Because I went to him and I asked him if he wanted it.
What, are you making amends for something? There's no way you could have wronged Steve or been responsible for a situation. in
I
any
know,
way.
right? I went to him because I was getting over my head with all of this stuff, all of the business of it all.
Yes, that's been
and,
very
and Derek
clear.
was doing the best that he could, but Lord knows you don't want to get on his bad side. So I went to Steve and I was like, hey, you already know how to run this place. Would you like a share? And he said, yes, thank you so much, Greg. I love you. And then he kept saying some stuff as tears ran down his face. I walked away.
So you bought all 3 shares originally, and then you decided to divvy up the 3 shares.
Yes.
Okay.
That was a weird move. So were you already in debt to this Derek guy before you won the lottery?
Yes, I was.
And instead of using your lottery money to pay him back, you gave him a third of the theater you bought.
I liked looking at my bank account and seeing all of those zeros. Now I just see 1.
1-0?
Yeah.
Don't say it like that. You sound excited. Or
I have no idea what I'm doing. I am very worried that I will not have legs next week because apparently you can use legs as collateral. I had only ever used people as collateral. Apparently you can use your own body parts.
sorry, you used people as collateral on your loan?
Is that the reason that pirate beat me up in the theater? I wrestled with him for like 40 minutes.
And then
dude.
you
That's
hired
not
him.
cool. And then you hired him, and I had to see that guy every day.
I liked his moves. May I lead with saying I am terribly sorry, Henry. I should have brought you into that knowledge before now.
So you owe
Or I
money
should have been better at hiding it.
to
Continue?
some guy named Derek who hired a pirate to collect on his debt by beating the shit out of Henry.
Yes.
What a weird,
Why didn't you
what
pay
a convoluted,
I
yeah.
don't know.
Why did you use me as collateral?
I got swept up in the moment. I am. I tell you, I get so excited with some things, and this got me really excited. So I just wasn't thinking. I wasn't thinking, and for that I apologize. I'm very sorry that a loan shark who lives in unincorporated Timberdale sicked a pirate onto you, Henry, whom I was using as human collateral.
Is this guy
I
part of
hope
like,
he breaks your legs.
yeah, is he part of like the Timberdale mob? This Derek guy? Mm-hmm. Oh, yes, that's,
Yes, I'm terribly sorry. I'm not supposed to talk about the Timberdale mob, but they, yeah, after
and they send emails to let you know that
well, they're
time's
very,
up.
Yeah, they're very, very professional.
They leave a paper trail.
Yeah.
They're very good about that.
I mean, what are the police cops gonna do here? You know,
I mean, they are just so bad at everything.
I'm pretty sure half the police cops are in the mob too.
Yeah,
the
goodness.
TPC is very, they're intertwined with the mob.
Yeah, they have a good relationship, those two. Derek had a hand in some of the financial workings of our Fight Club, which there is not one of those.
Oh, so this was more established than I even thought.
Yeah, I mean, he helped us create and distribute our merchandise.
Really?
Yeah. Would you like a hoodie?
No, thank you.
Okay. Well, if you change your mind, I always have them on hand. Well, there we are. You're all caught up.
Wow.
So are you going to be able to pay him off then?
Oh, no, I'm not. I don't know if I'll have my legs next week.
Wait, so you're like completely broke at this point?
I am 100% broke. I am, well, no, let me be more clear. I'm about 125% broke.
Oh. Wow. So you lost all $48 million.
In like,
$48 million?
what,
plus
3 weeks?
Plus you've taken out a loan that
And
you can't pay back.
Yes, I now owe a lot of money. I went a bit nuts. Let me be the first, as one who indulges in extravagance, or
You live in a dumpster.
a nice dumpster. I paid a lot for those dumpsters. I lost all the dumpsters, save for one. I like the lavish life, and I will pay for it, and that includes exotic birds. And cheese balls.
The theater is full of dead birds, full of cheese.
Mm-hmm.
And the cheese, I think, is hemorrhaging money for you.
Yeah.
Oh, that was one of the problems.
You're
Now you
not
see,
even
in
enjoying
hindsight,
the cheese.
What's that?
You're not even enjoying the cheese.
Well, not anymore. After you've eaten nothing but cheese and parrots, you get really tired.
Did you eat a parrot?
Yes, I ate a parrot.
He popped one in the popcorn machine the other
I
day.
guess,
popped
yeah.
a parrot in the popcorn machine.
Even though that experiment was a failure, why would I think that you would stop there?
I don't know.
Just parrots, pickles, and cheese.
Parrots, pickles, and Parmesan. But in hindsight, I shouldn't have been selling 3 balls for 20 cents. I shouldn't have been giving out free samples. I shouldn't have been buying back cheese from people who came in and bought in bulk cheese and then were selling it outside in the parking lot in front of my dumpsters.
What a whirlwind week it's been.
You live and learn.
Well,
I hope you've learned something.
I hope you've learned something.
I don't know what
because
happens now.
In the
Yeah.
course of a month, you have gone from a millionaire to the poorest person I know.
And you might lose your legs.
Mm-hmm.
To the Timberdale mob,
Yeah.
which has pirates on their payroll, apparently.
And you already gave them a third of your company.
Well, Steve has the other bit. I mean, that's something.
Well, maybe
Steve has always been a fan of me for some God knows why reason.
he's attracted to you.
True, yeah.
What makes you say he's attracted to me?
Well, let's get the podcast started.
Hey, here we are.
I'm
Welcome.
Henry Harrison.
Oh,
I'm Greg Basil.
And I'm Kyle McKlinsky. Trying it out.
Not good.
Okay.
I loved it.
Welcome to Break Room at the Cineplex. We're going to talk about a movie this week.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to try
usually
to
do.
retain some sense of normalcy.
Some sense of reality.
This week we watched a movie that was suggested to us by a listener via email.
Ooh. The old internet. Don't know how that works.
Internet. All right. I'm going to go ahead and read the email that we received. It's one of our longer ones.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
It says, "Hi, y'all.
Well, howdy to you." I'm sorry, I jumped in there.
My friend Mary Kate turned me on to your podcast, and I have been obsessed. I look forward to being able to listen to the reviews during my commute to work. Thanks for making Friday mornings exciting. You're welcome.
You're so welcome.
I have a few movies that I think y'all would love.
There's that y'all again.
The top two being CrossFit the Musical and Whose Kid Is This? But I'm really wanting to email to learn more about Timberdale and how y'all got
that
into the
y'all.
movie reviewing business. I'm curious to know how y'all developed your passion for movies. I was wondering if it was...
Kyle making money?
What? What are you talking?
Huh? What? Wait. Oh. It's 5 y'alls, I think.
I was wondering if it was a great movie you saw as a kid or being involved in AV Club in high school and making a movie together. If y'all have done anything like that, I would love to hear about it. Thanks again for the great podcast and movie recommendations. I look forward to hearing more. Kylie.
Oh.
Thank you,
Why
Kylie.
do I picture Kylie with a little eye that's dotted with a heart?
Well, it's an email,
I'm just
so
projecting.
that's
I'm projecting
don't project
that
not
onto
all
her.
not all over the table.
I'm sorry.
We all know what that means, right?
To project?
I guess
What's the
a
definition
resident
of
dictionary.
project?
Well, you know, like when something is like smaller because it's next to something that's big, it like looks small.
Yes. And I'd rather not do that to Kylie
Right.
Sure.
Yeah, you got it.
in the context of her writing style.
Well, let's go ahead and answer her question. How did we get into movies? I mean, I'll start.
Go for it, guy.
I would say that, I mean, my family growing up, my parents were always quick to have a video camera out, one of those big ones that held entire VHSs,
Yeah.
you know?
Like, that thing was huge.
And they would record me growing up as a kid, and but I wasn't a super interesting kid, so they would always stage these things or tell me to do something interesting.
I've seen some of those videos where it's just you seemingly sitting in the middle of the living room and they throw something past you and
You know, like, go get it or pick that up.
yeah, they're like now what?
And so, I mean, that started my love of movies. You
Yeah.
can connect the dots there.
Yeah.
Being on camera, I wanted to...
Creating these stories. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that was kind of what did it for me too, was when Kyle's family would bring out the big old camera, like everybody in the town knew it was huge. Like,
Yeah.
the camera was massive. And
Yeah,
so
we
people
would
could just
all
see.
I remember getting all gussied up because we knew that we were going to go outside and we never knew if Kyle's family was going to have the camera on.
We were the only family that owned a camera.
Yeah, and we knew because we're a pretty close knit community around here.
Yeah, you can't
We all
not
wanted
be.
to do this
As a
you're-
community.
As a community, because your family, Kyle, has done so much for this community. So we were just gonna give back, and we were
Yeah, and-
prepared to do whatever they asked us to do.
And
with
they
you
wanted a
on
more
camera.
interesting kid, so they would recast me in their home movies and
Yeah.
have other children. Like, you, Henry, you appeared in
Henry.
I did appear in your first bike ride.
Yes,
Yeah.
That was-
you were wonderful as Kyle.
Yes. Yeah, that was one of the
And Greg, you were me on my second birthday.
Yeah, and you know what? I feel like I could have been you better.
I mean, you were too.
Yeah, I know, but still.
But, so I guess we
I
do...
hold myself to higher standards.
We do kind of have a unified reason for getting into movies, and
Yeah.
that sort of camaraderie is carried through our
Exactly.
entire
It's
Really?
life.
interesting. I hadn't thought about that for a really long time, but
Neither
that is
have I.
truly how
It's so
it
beautiful.
brought us all together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my goodness. I got a lot of fond memories about that.
Well, thanks for the question, Kylie.
Thank you, Kylie.
Sorry that answer was so uninteresting and straightforward, but
It is just so difficult to find something interesting about this damn town.
Yeah.
yeah,
Goodness.
this week we did watch Whose Kid Is This?
We did.
That was one of the
Oh.
films.
Yeah. So that's my kid. Let's start on that one.
So whose kid was that?
Whose kid is it
this?
anyway?
The points don't matter.
calm down, Greg.
Whose kid? It tickled me. Whose kid is this?
Whose kid is this?
Yeah. Whose kid is this? Was a cute little film about a kid getting lost in New York, and he needs to find his way back home. So his family it starts with them all having a little get together in Central Park, and they're I think it was like a birthday or something. They were just
picnic,
a general celebration of togetherness. And then they're all getting together and they're getting into the van to go home, and they're counting heads and everything, and somebody gets distracted.
This is a big family.
Yeah, it's a huge family. Like they fill up a whole city bus. And so they're counting 33, 34, 35. Somebody comes up, "Hey Steve, so we need to know where to put these tables." And he's like, 34. Yeah, put them over there. Where was I? 45, 46, 47.
So about 10 kids went missing.
Yeah. And they all get dispersed throughout the city.
Yeah.
Because they all just very independently think, well, I can find my way home.
And they all head off in different directions.
And so we're kind of watching all of these kids throughout the film. We jump back to one and another throughout this film.
It's an ensemble cast of a movie.
Now, I hate kid actors.
Right.
But let me tell you this much. This movie really solidified that. Can't stand kid actors. Can't stand them.
If you weren't 100% sure before, which you were,
I was 100% sure.
now you're extra sure.
Now I'm 100.
Even when their kids aren't acting, you are very verbal
You're just
about
not a fan of kids.
I hate kids. I hate kids. In my opinion, children should be seen, not heard, or seen.
You don't need to tell them that.
I'll tell every single kid I see.
That's the line there.
Ooh, there was that one kid that was crying because I was yelling at him.
Yeah, you could use a calmer tone of voice.
I fucking hate him. I told him to shut up.
Anyway.
I was like, hey, why don't you get out of that seat? Huh? Here's a hammer. Use it.
You're always handing kids hammers. What is that?
For some reason, I equate that to adulthood.
Did your dad ever hand you a hammer?
He did once. And let me tell you, I keep that with me every single day.
And several more, just
And-
in case you run into a kid.
You know, yeah. And I carry a little duffel bag full of hammers.
It's under the table right now.
Yeah. Would you like a hammer?
No,
You
thanks.
guys are adults. I know that.
Anyway, let's get back to the movie since we've derailed almost immediately. So there are 10 kids from this family who have all dispersed throughout New York City.
Uh-huh.
And each individual one is having kind of their own quest, their own journey through New York in a way. It's like Home Alone Lost in New York meets Lion King 2.5. And so
Sure.
Yes.
but because there's music, there's always a song.
Right,
Like,
this is a
always a
musical
song going
as
on.
well.
kind of
Kylie sent us 2 musicals.
Each kid has like a different melody, associated with them. And as they
Like a different genre almost.
right, and as they journey through the city, we're kind of like cut from scene to scene, and there's like a different musical number associated with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And sometimes they like flow together, sort of
Right.
like a fivel, you know.
Yeah, like
Like they're singing the
An
same.
American Tale.
Yeah, I won't sing.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, that's all right.
put
well,
you
you
through
just
that.
did, so.
Yeah, I regretted
So you
it
already-
immediately.
All right, rewind 10 seconds. You can hear that again.
And you're golden. Just take that and loop it 10 minutes.
Don't do that. So
So so the first one that we kind of see is Lupe.
oh man, we're gonna name all of them.
Lupe is the first one that we see. She's like the smallest of the group. She's the smallest. Nobody really thinks that she can do anything. They're all really protective of her.
Right. I mean,
And
she's a 6-month-old infant.
A little itty baby child, and she is seemingly just stumbling through these streets, like the hustle and the bustle.
Yeah,
and
she's kind of
kinda
getting kicked around in a very cartoonish way. Like, don't kick a baby.
If we had to say this to you, don't kick a baby unless that baby doesn't have a hammer in their hands. In which case, hand them a hammer, kick them out of that seat, and tell them to get a job.
All right.
So Lupe's getting kicked around, but not in an adult way. And she's just like car doors are opening, and she's getting flung over the street.
She lands on top of a taxi and the hood pops open.
And so this is kind of laying the percussion down. Like this is our percussion for the musical piece that is this movie, really.
Right.
It's mostly a baby getting hit with car doors and kind of getting kicked down subway steps and just like...
And people yelling, car horns, beep, beep.
I'm
like
walking here.
Hey, your mother!
She eventually rolls to the bottom of a lawyer, a law firm, and a lawyer
step.
picks her up and is like, "A baby? Like
Whose kid is this?
Whose
Whose kid is this?
And he like sees it on the name tag. It says Lupe, and he's like, "Lupe, okay, like, well, we know the baby's name now."
That's good.
And so they bring it. He brings it inside the law office, and that's when we cut to our second character, Florida.
Florida.
And she has like a flutish tone.
Yeah.
It's like a soft, nice, serene tone that's just floating about her.
Yeah. She's
And
fluttering.
she's about 6 or 7, and she's skipping down the street, and she comes across 2 other girls in the street, and they're skipping rope, and she's like, "Can I join in?" And they're like,
Hell yeah.
"Hell yeah!" And so she jumps in and she starts skipping rope with them, and she sees Lupe getting picked up and brought into the law firm, and she's like, "That's my cue. I gotta go, girls."
That's Lupe, my sister.
And she starts skipping off. That's when we're introduced to our third character,
Miguel.
and he has a nice guitar going down underneath him. It's matching up with the flute a little bit because we catch his point of view of the baby getting brought in, and he sees Florida walking
Florida
skipping across to get in front of the law office, and he sees that, and he's like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna go help her because she's my sister."
Because that's my sister.
Florida.
So Miguel and Florida meet each other at the front steps, and so the guitar and the flute are flowing into each other nicely.
Gets kind of jazzy. It's pretty
Getting
good.
kind of jazzy. They are walking up the steps, and there's like a crescendo in the music. They open the door, the music cuts out, and we're just left in a law office.
Yes. This big, huge, open foyer of a law firm.
And the lawyer looks at Miguel and Florida and is like, "Whose kid is this? And whose kid is this?"
And whose kid is this?
Pointing back to
Lupe.
To Lupe.
Lupe.
And say, "That's our sister. My name's Miguel. This is Florida." And he's like, "Well, that solves that." And then they go into a whole musical number.
Yeah, this is the first big musical number.
Right.
And he's singing about how he found out who these kids are.
Yeah, it is the
And
titular
kinda, like,
song.
Yeah, what
Whose kid
his
is
what his job is at the law firm.
Right. He
And
goes
Whose
he's
kid
gotta-
is this? Whose kid is this?
I gotta collate these forms.
Please shred that one. Yeah, and so they sing about all that, and after that gets done, he's like, "I guess I found out who these kids are, but we need to find out whose kids these are." And cut to our next kid.
Yes,
which
kid number
is,
4.
which is Dylan. And Dylan, he's I don't know how old he is. He's like 12 or something. They all look the same to me if they don't have a hammer in their hands. So he's running his way. He's scared. Like he's visibly worried.
Yeah, so his background soundtrack is all these like high-stringed instrument violins, sort of like that classic.
Staccato.
Yeah.
Yeah, very plucky.
Plucky. Yeah.
Yeah, and so he's kind of running through. And
He hasn't made it out of Central Park yet. He's
no.
pushing his way through bushes. Night is coming. You know, it's getting dark.
Yeah, geez.
And there's a kid chasing him on a bicycle.
Hey, kid!
And
Give
like,
me your shoes!
he just runs. He scales a tree. He climbs up a tree, and the kid stops at the bottom, and he's kind of just like throwing him insults up in the tree. And the kid's like, he takes his shoe off, throws it down. Dylan hits him with the shoe, and he scampers off. And
He's like, "Yeah, I got a shoe.
Yeah! I can sell
One more to go."
And so like Dylan's kind of like scratched up. He's got some scrapes on his knees, and he's missing a shoe now. And so he's like alone, and he's kind of like that the strings kind of go into a more like
a more
melodic and melancholy tone.
Yeah,
Definitely.
and because he's so worried, he's like really paranoid about it. He's like, "What if I never go home?"
Yeah, he sings a song on his
and he
own.
sings by himself.
He has a nice little like ballad there.
Yeah,
and,
he sings it, and and as he finishes his song, "My way home." More bullies show up.
Like, we heard you got shoes.
Hey, you giving out shoes or what?
and they start to like climb up the tree, but then the siren like arrives and they all scamper away, and he realizes
Enter bicycle cops.
And they're like,
With sirens.
We'll call the fire department for you, kid. It's all right.
Hey, don't worry about it. Hey.
And so they call the fire department, and he's kind of like looking down at the world, and that's when he catches the fifth kid, Francisco, out of his eye. He sees him down in Central Park still. He's kind of sitting by the fountain.
Yeah, he hasn't really gone anywhere.
And
he's just sitting there content.
and he's drawing in his notebook, and there's kind of maracas kicking, like chicka, 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 chicka. Some more percussion on his end, and so he's like drawing. And he kind of looks up and he's like,
entering the doom, doom, doom.
right, stand-up bass comes in, and that's when his buddy, Malika, shows up, and so Malika and Francisco she kind of goes in front of him, and he looks up from his notebook, and they kind of make eye contact, and she's like,
"What you drawing?
What you drawing?" And he starts into his song about how he wants to see the world, and like, so there's like a nice bass and like maraca. It's kind of a jazzy tune.
Yeah. One of the catchier songs, I would say.
And at the end of this song where they're singing about escaping the town, Francisco takes Malika's hand and she kind of like leads him outside of the park, and we cut back to in the tree.
Dylan.
Dylan is still he's getting rescued by the firemen.
Yeah, the fire department's up there, and he's like, "Hey, don't worry, kid. We'll take you to the firehouse, and you'll be safe."
And
there.
like the plucked staccato comes back in. It's kind of like a creepy.
Yeah, 'cause he's like, well, he's scared of heights. So I don't know why he climbed a tree, but then when they're bringing him down on the ladder,
to get away from the bullies.
Yeah. So they take him down and they throw him into the truck. Not so aggressively, but they get him into the truck and then they drive away. Cut to our next kid,
Roberta.
She is the strong one. Like she's the eldest. She's 15-ish.
Sure.
She's like early high school maybe.
Yeah.
And
She had a hammer.
She had a hammer in her hand. That's how I knew. Yeah, and so she's walking around with this hammer, and she's she's looking around at just everything. She's walking through a marketplace, and she's looking at all the stuff, and she's saying she's yelling back and forth with the vendors. That all the vendors are like, "Hey, Roberta! Hey, where's your family? Hey,
Yeah, they all seem to know her.
Normally you're with 42 other people. Hey!" And she's just walking around. And she's singing about how she loves the hustle and bustle of the city.
This is when
she loves the people.
This is the first big dance number song because all of the vendors start dancing up on their tables.
And
on their tents.
They're throwing fish back and forth. They're throwing they're just dancing, jumping through the air. It's really cool, really well choreographed,
really well done. But she she finishes, makes her way through the market, and on the other side there's a big construction site that she's walking by, and as she's walking by, she hears someone go, "Hey, look out down there!" And she looks up just in time for a hard hat to land perfectly on her head. And then the foreman happens to come around the corner at that time and goes, Hey, you get back to work.
Why don't we put that hammer to use?
Because he sees her with a hammer and a hard
that
hat.
seat. She's like, I'm not sitting.
Proverbially.
And so then we go into this comedic sequence where she is now a part of this construction site and having to help.
And with the sawing and all the industrial sounds, there's another dance number.
Yeah.
And it's really cool because these big burly fellas are very limber.
Yeah, they're doing cartwheels on girders.
Yeah.
And
From that bird's eye view of like up in the construction site, we kind of like zoom down. In passing, we see Liam walking down on the street, and he's kind of like his shoes are untied, and he's just kind of kicking along. He's kind of mopey. He's
That's kind of his thing.
That's kind of his thing. Like people get down on him for being down, and that's like he's just.
And we get this from some of the construction site workers. They're like, "Hey, why so glum? Hey,
what you moping down there?
hey, Eeyore, lose your tail."
And so he's got sad piano music kind of behind him.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, very, very.
A big
very
switch
low,
in tone and vibe from the previous 2 major dance numbers.
Yeah.
It's just kind of it's a lapse. It's a break in the music, and he has his little ballad of like, how come people make me sad?
and he kind of has a little dance thing of his own, but it's very light, and there's not much.
Yeah, it's kind of like a soft shoe.
Yeah. And
Very little color,
very small movement. Very well done. I really I like remembering all of these things. This is really fun.
You hate that they're kids.
I hate that they're kids. Ooh, boy. Like, I liked watching their feet as they were dancing, but then I had to look back up at their faces, and I was like, ooh, where's the hammer?
This is such a weird thing. You're so
weird.
Yeah, you're so.
No, man.
For such a.
I don't
seemingly-
think you
and s-
know.
and I don't-
think if you knew how weird.
Surprisingly, I don't think I've ever mentioned it.
Yeah, for such a strongly, firmly held belief. I've seen you hand out hammers to kids, but
Yeah.
I never was like,
I've seen
why?
you make so many people cry.
Yeah.
Stop giving hammers to children. That's not a normal thing.
Well, anyway,
Don't
speaking of not normal
bring
things.
a duffel bag of hammers places.
Speaking of not normal things, when Liam he kind of soft shoes his way into Tracy, she's sitting on a park bench talking to an old woman who's waiting for the bus. And the old woman is telling her about how horrible the world is.
Right. And she's just kind of listening to her
And
like,
the kids are like,
yes, wow.
mm-hmm. And Tracy's got this little balloon in her hands, and she's like, oh, cool, wow. And so Liam kind of saunters on by, and Tracy yells to him, Liam, that's my cousin Liam, saying to the old woman. The old woman's like, it doesn't even matter. And so Tracy gets up and starts following Liam, and she's like, Liam, and Liam says back to her, we need to find our way out of the street here. We are so lost, unbearably lost. And as they're walking around, they stumble into these police officers, and these police officers are like on bikes.
Yeah.
And they say, huh? Whose kids are these? Hey, whose kid is this? Whose kid is this? And they kind of just say that back and forth.
Mm-hmm. But they're like, we need help finding our parents. And they're like, you remind us of this kid we found in a tree.
Dylan,
He was
maybe you've heard of him.
Real scared.
He was real scared. Cried the entire ride to the station.
And they're like, that's our brother/cousin.
Yes.
Liam's
Liam,
brother.
yeah.
but-
And so they hop on the back of the cops' bikes, and they're pedaling, and there's
Ding,
a
ding.
song about, finding your own way in life. and
Pedal,
just like,
pedal,
you gotta pedal to the limit. Yeah, no, it's a really good one.
It's really good.
But
and
as
the
they're
cops
cruising
are doing BMX tricks off of
Right,
trash
they're like
cans
bouncing
and
off
things.
of other cars. And all
riding up onto taxis.
and like as they're going down, like out of the law office now come the first 3 kids.
Lupe, Florida,
Florida,
and Miguel.
All right, so Lupe, Florida, and Miguel come out of the law office, and they spot the cop bikes that are, making a parade down the street, essentially.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
they're
yeah,
really
you can't miss
spectacle.
It's pretty. It's
And they're
pretty.
like,
realistically
there's our brothers
speaking.
and sisters, and they run out.
cousins.
And cousins, or siblings.
Here we are, our family.
Yeah, and they all just start dancing down the street and making their way down to the police station.
And the cops are like, during one of the music breaks in the song, they're like, who are these kids?
Whose kids are these?
And they're like, we're missing our family too. And they're like, well, come on.
Man.
And like the more instruments join into the song, it just becomes a lot more lively. and,
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a show-stopping number.
It really is.
This is where, if this was performed on stage, the intermission would come right after this.
Right. So I guess after we open from intermission, we get to the station and the kids arrive and we get another musical number with the prisoners who are in the drunk tank.
And into the station comes construction girl.
The rest of
She
them.
comes in. She comes in with the foreman.
Rosita.
Roberta.
Yes.
The construction foreman. He brings her in. And he's like, "This is some 15-year-old girl, not a worker. Whose kid is this?"
It took me 2 songs to realize who she was.
She's one hell of a worker, though.
And so they're all kind of reunited at the station.
Okay, well, let's just go over who we have now. We have Lupe, Miguel, Florida.
Florida.
Florida makes a musical appearance, which was out of nowhere. I'm just happy he's doing things again.
Yeah, sort of
We've got Lupe, Miguel, Florida. We've got
Roberta.
Liam.
Dylan,
Francisco.
and
Malika.
They kind of just showed up.
I mean, in
Saunter in toward the end of the song.
And Francisco, he drew a picture of everybody together, and it was beautiful.
And they hung it on a bulletin board next to all the wanted posters.
And the police chief said, "That's gorgeous. We're gonna keep that
We're
right
gonna
there.
keep that. I'm gonna
But
put a caption on it.
we need to find out where you all belong, because you can't stay here. As wonderful
Say,
as it
whose
is
kid-
to sing.
whose kids is this?
kids is this?" So
We're going to distribute these flyers. Yeah, the drawing that he did. Of the
Yeah, just handing it out. Do you know whose kids this is? Do you know whose kids this is?
And eventually, the flyer reaches. They're kind of strewn across the ground. It's like after the whole song and dance number is over, we open on some muddy shoes on the concrete, and the flyer just kind of slaps on the shoe and sticks to it. And they lean down and pick up the flyer, and it comes to reveal their face, and it's
Floyd.
It's Floyd, who is the one character
That we needed most. He's the one that was driving the bus of the family members. We know this because at the beginning, when Steve, or what's his name, was counting all the people, he was saying, "Floyd, thank you so much for taking time off of your normal job of being an actual city bus driver, taking this city bus to us and helping us drive everywhere. We really appreciate that. Also, you have a photographic memory that might come into play later."
And so he picks up the flyer, and he's like, "I know whose kids this is."
Whose kids this is?
And so he exits screen and takes off to the flyer, and we kind of cut into he starts singing a song about how he's going to save the day.
Yeah, he goes to the bus area
Depot,
where all
yeah.
the buses are, and he hops on his bus.
Floyd, he goes to the bus depot. He gets his bus. He drives to the family's house. He gets them all back in the bus.
He's like, "I know whose
"Hey,
kids this is."
I know whose kids this is."
This
And they
kid's
all
is
start to
yours.
sing along to that tune. He was singing like his "I know whose kids this is."
Yeah, it's like a
I know
reprise.
whose
They
kids
all
this
pop
is.
in.
I know whose kids this is.
Yeah.
We know whose kids this is.
It's a reprise of Whose Kid Is This with the lyrics
where they're dancing
slightly
through the
tweaked.
first one with the dance
we
number.
We know. It's the answer. It's the call. It's the response.
And so they're all dancing in the bus and kind of flipping off the windows and doing crazy
really
acrobatic
cool
stuff.
which was really visually astounding, because in a bus you don't have that much space to move around.
Right. I
think that's why they cast
were
kids,
moving a lot.
small kids.
It was so amazing. So they get down to the almost said bus station, police station. That has a bus station in front. That's neither here nor there. and they all kind of continue to sing as they're jumping out of the windows,
And
swinging
like
out.
each kid comes onto the bus in like single form. They each have their like little solo on the first 8 kids.
And as soon as they enter, the rest of the kids go, "Luca," or "Lupe," whatever the name.
Your name.
they all say their names out loud.
Flo Rida shows up.
Yeah, Flo Rida makes an appearance. He
Again.
just lays down a quick 8 bars.
Yeah,
and
a
then,
little rap.
And
Introducing Flo Rida.
But once they get all the kids on, the parents are there as well, and they're like, "Hey, we're still short 2 kids. This is only 8. We were missing 10."
Penelope and Max, they're missing.
They're missing.
And they're like, well, where would they go?
And they're like, "Well, what day is it?" "It's Tuesday."
Well, everybody knows that it's Tuesday nights at the old Asian marketplace down by the pier.
To the Asian market.
And so Floyd starts driving the bus, and they make their way down to the pier.
Another reprise of We Know Whose Kids
Yeah,
This
right.
Is.
Just a
whose
short,
kids this is.
quick one to cut between the scenes after
we,
Flo
we
Rida.
know, we know where this kids. We know who they is are.
Right. And so they arrive at the pier, and they conclude their song, and they're all like looking around the pier, and they see Penelope,
But they don't see Max.
but they don't see Max. They
This
see
year,
Penelope.
she's standing at the end of the pier, just
She's
kind of looking off
cracking
at the
a crab
water.
over her leg.
Yeah, just sitting on the edge of
On
the
the end
pier.
of the dock, just cracking a crab.
And so
And she's saying to herself, she's saying, butter would be nice right about now. She's just eating the crab.
And she starts to sing a song called
Butter Would Be Better.
Nice. Yeah, butter.
butter would be better.
Butter would be better with a bit of crab.
It's a patter song. It's very quick.
Yeah, I'm not good with patter
Butter
songs.
would be better if it, etc.
I don't know it. But she does all that, and the entire family apparently just sneaks up behind her because as the camera's panning over,
They march
they're
up
suddenly
behind her.
right behind her.
Yeah.
And they're all like yeah, with the song and everything. Where's Max?
And then right at that moment, from the water, bloop, bloop, here comes Max. He's got a
Here's Max.
snorkel on, and they're like, Max.
And he's like, and he says back, "What are you to do?"
and so it cuts to him getting set in the front of the bus next to Penelope, and like they start their song up again, this time for the last time though.
Yes.
And it's these kids whose is we gots them.
Yeah, and it's wonderful because it kind of gave us little reminders, little quotes from all of the musical quotes from all of the other numbers.
It's almost like an overture, how they show
a
have
little
all the
bit.
musical themes that are going to be appearing throughout the show.
Right.
Yeah,
but this
yeah.
one brings them all back. So each kid that was missing gets their little solo.
Each has an instrument,
as they're
like,
driving
solo,
by
yeah.
as they're driving by the location where they were found. So like
Right.
with Lupe. And the other two at the law firm, we kind of hear that, and we see the lawyer on the steps. He kind of like turns back, and he's like, oh, "Hey!"
As they pass a construction site and they wave, they pass the tree, and the bullies are there, and
bullies
they're
are there,
waving
they're waving
shoes.
back.
Yeah.
Waving shoes.
And they eventually like kind of this is kind of intercut with like the main credits, each starring kid and the
Yeah, they
cast
do a
and
quick
everything.
freeze frame on the kid.
And
who makes
eventually
eye
they get
contact with the
home and
camera.
the music quiets down, and the parents are like, "We're glad to have you back home," and it's probably time to put Lupe to bed. She's had a long day.
And so they all sing to her a lullaby.
Flo Rida shows up one last time.
One last time, he raps a few bars. It's pretty good.
And
lays
that's
down.
the end. Whose kid is this?
Whose kid is this?
Thanks, Kylie.
Thank you
We
so
do
much, Kylie,
appreciate
for listening.
when people
and
listen
for
to
commenting,
things and send them out
when
and
you
give
send
us
them
feedback
you
and
tell
even
us
sure you
ask us
appreciate
questions.
when we all
Good to
talk.
know.
Give us a rating out of
when
10.
you tell us
Like
go
our
hit that
movies.
bell.
Sometimes we give movies
Be
a
sure
rating
to
out of 10,
subscribe
so you
and
can
tell
just
your
hit
friends.
that button
Hit
like
that
it's
motherfucker better.
That was weird. Do you guys have any favorite moments or lines of dialogue or scenes from Whose Kid Is This?
I like the scene in the marketplace the most. Like that musical with the hustle and bustle. Like I don't know,
So
nothing.
great. And she's singing about how much she likes people, how much
Right.
how people are good.
That song really gives me hope for humanity.
It really does. All of this did. This whole movie kind of did.
It's a feel-good film.
It really is a feel-good film. It would make me feel so much better if there weren't so many goddamn children. Hammer it up.
Let's go right into ratings.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good. 8 out of 10, man.
8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. You know, I would agree with you. I would agree with you, but I will give it a 6 because I don't like children.
I'm going to split the difference. Let's do 7.
Hey!
If anyone else would like to suggest a film or ask us about life in Timberdale, feel free to reach out via email like Kylie did at cineplexpodcast@gmail.com or on Twitter at cineplexpodcast.
Or you could, just not do that. That's fine too.
Yeah, I mean, do what you want. Yeah. Like, I can't tell you what to do. I will tell you what to do, but you don't have to necessarily do it.
Yeah, don't take advice from Greg. You are in a lot of debt to
Yeah.
dangerous people.
I mean,
Hammer up.
I hammer it up.
This is a new catchphrase or something?
I will. And I will always give advice, but I don't recommend you follow it.
I thought you were going to
Or
say,
at
but I
least
won't take any.
I won't take any of mine. I'll give it to you, but I won't take it from you.
I was going to say, for a while we've been wondering if the theater would shut down because of your poor business decisions, but now we're not even sure if you'll live to next episode.
Yeah, I'm really interested to find out if I have legs next week.
I hope you don't. All right, bye.